Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I'm the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing a really fun glitter swirl design using kind of a unique technique that I saw my friend Myra do. Myra recently made this cup, which she's giving to me. Thank you. I love it so much. And I was so inspired while I was watching her make it. She was making it while we were on a FaceTime call, and we just had so much fun creating that together, and I couldn't wait to make one of my own. So here is my rendition of her design, and I love how this one turned out. It has my two kind of favorite colors in it, and I think you guys are gonna love it. I'm gonna have all the products that you see in this video listed and linked down below in the description box. You might even find some discount codes for you there as well. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. Announcement before we get started, Flynn Sisters Supply Shop is holding a free shipping sale. You guys get free USPS ground shipping with all orders of $60 or more. Sale ends on Sunday. And if you want to save an extra 15% off, be sure to sign up for our Flynn Sisters Exclusives membership. A link and more information will be in the description box. We're starting with a 30-ounce Skinny Straight from Craft Haven that I've already sanded to prep, and I'm going to hit it with a light coat of a flat white spray paint. This is a paint and primer, so it's going to give the other colors that we're going to pile on here something awesome to grab onto. I will list the color palette that I'm using for my spray paint today, but I'm starting with Coral from Rustoleum, and that's going to be my main swirl that will go all the way around the cup, and then I'm going to add a couple of accent lines in between the kind of beginning and end of that swirl, I guess you would say. I'm also going to come in with my second most dominant color, which is this beautiful teal. I think this is called Island Girl from Colorshot. And I'm going to kind of fill in some of the spaces that I didn't get with the coral. Next, I'm going to go in with Grape and just make very small kind of accent lines along the top and the bottom of the swirl, somewhere in the middle a little bit. Just try to envision, if you were to look straight on with the cup, would you be happy with the composition of colors and how you kind of positioned your swirl? You can always add more paint, so I always start with like a rough draft of very light coats of paint, and then I build up as I go, once I'm sure of where we're going. I also filled in some of the white spaces with a cream color. I think that's Antique White, also from Rustoleum, just because I think it gives a little richer look. Honestly, I don't think it really matters, but it mattered to me. As soon as that paint was dry, which in this case was about 20 to 30 minutes, I was ready to apply my glitter, and I'm going to be using my Fast Cure Epoxy today as the adhesive for our glitter. I think I mixed up about 10 milliliters of epoxy, and I won't use all of that. We'll probably just use about 5 milliliters here. And I'm going to start with the chunkiest colors first for my glitter swirl. In this case, Bertha is the chunkiest glitter we're going to be using today. This is from Peachy Olive Glitters. I will also have the palette of glitters that I'm using listed and linked in the description box. I'm applying this chunky mix kind of in the center of all of our purple sections, and then somewhere in some of the white sections, anywhere that I want to have just a little bit of extra like depth and chunky sparkle. Next, I'm going to go in with Dazed, also from Peachy Olive Glitters, and this purple is the absolute perfect purple that I'm trying to get for this design. And again, right now we're just building up the rough draft for our swirl. We can always add more glitter, we just can't take away. So just take your time. That's also why I like using epoxy to apply my glitter, because it gives me plenty of time to screw around with this stuff and really get it right. Next, we're going to go in with Kaneohe, and I'm going to apply that to all of the, I guess you would call this like a teal or aqua minty sections. And again, not full coverage yet. We're just still trying to establish our swirl here and get the blending that we want. For my coral sections, my main color is going to be Seacrest Beach. The white sections, I'm using Willow from Batty Glitter. Next, I'm going in with a finer cut of the base colors that I started with to kind of help blend. This is Guava Lava from Batty Glitter, and I'm going to sprinkle that through our coral sections just so we can help blend the lines between that coral and the teal and the purple. We're going to do the same thing for all the remaining colors, being sure to tap off the excess glitter between each color so we don't contaminate into the next jar. And this is where I really start to let it rip to really blend the colors. You'll notice that I didn't have a finer cut of Kaneohe for those kind of teal aqua sections. That's okay because I've got plenty of colors and blending going on elsewhere, and I really love how this came out. Look at all the sparkle. I love this color combination. I let that dry for about 2 hours before we moved on to our first coat of epoxy. Your dry times may vary based on the type and brand of epoxy that you're using. For this first coat, I'm using about 60 milliliters of my Artist Cure formula. I'm just going to apply this like I normally would, and once I'm done coating my tumbler, I'm going to hit it with my torch just to pop any bubbles, and we're going to let this dry for about 6 to 8 hours before I come right back and do a second coat right over the top of this. The goal here is to get the tumbler pretty smooth before we move on to our next step. All right, so I've got 2 coats of epoxy on my cup now that are fully dry. It's totally smooth and sanded. I want to try and keep that initial coat of epoxy over glitter as small as possible because there's going to be a lot of layers to this cup. We don't want it to get too thick. So ideally we would have all the glitter smooth within 2 coats, enough to where if we had any pokey bits, we can easily sand them down and have everything nice and smooth for what we're about to do now. What I loved most about Myra's design was the vinyl that she framed out with gold foil, and I thought it would look so cool to use like a printed leopard print instead of the holographic vinyl that she used for her design. So I'm just going to roughly sketch kind of a swirl shape on the back of my vinyl sheet here, and I'm going to cut it out with just some regular scissors, and then I'm going to cut that swirl shape into about thirds. Cutting it into the sections is going to help me place it onto the cup. And if you have to trim it down here and there, you can, just until you get the desired look that you're wanting. I'm just going to position this onto the cup how I want it to be, and then I'm going to just apply it with my hand. We don't need any transfer tape. It's going to be like applying a big sticker. Once I got that vinyl swirl placed, I decided that I needed a little bit more of my pattern on there, so I did just freehand another little sliver to put on there. And then we're going to take some adhesive. I'm using Wicked Stick It from wickedshimmersupply.com today, and I'm going to apply it using just a regular little paintbrush. This stuff is very thin and runny, so be sure to really kind of pounce it on there and keep an eye on it so it doesn't drip or run. You don't want it to be like a perfect brush stroke either, so I kind of was just pouncing my brush, and I did let some of the lines of adhesive go through the vinyl sections on that swirl. I'm also going to cover up some of those gaps that we left when we had to kind of trim up that vinyl to position it into our swirl. And while the adhesive was drying, I had an idea to add these hot pink opal holographic leopard spots because when in doubt, add leopard spots. No, I just thought it was really pretty, and I love the combo of this holographic vinyl with this cheetah print. I think it's so cute. Okay, so after I added those, my adhesive was fully dry, and I knew it was dry because it was glossy and totally clear. We're going to outline all of that printed vinyl with this gold foil, and you're just going to kind of pick up little pieces either with your finger, or here I am using like a silicone tool, and you're just going to pounce it onto our adhesive. And then once you've got a good amount placed on there, I like to just brush off all the excess with a fluffy brush. I also applied some of the gold foil as part of the swirl outside of just the vinyl sections, if that makes sense, almost like an accent. additional gold accents here. You could see me applying that there. Also, I signed the bottom with a gold marker. Don't ask me where I got this gold marker. A friend of mine gave it to me and I don't know if they're going to sell them or not yet. Okay, and now that I'm finished with all that gold foil, we do need to seal in our work. My epoxy does not love adhesives that stay tacky. So if there was any part of that adhesive still exposed on the surface of our cup, my epoxy will unfortunately repel from those sections. So we want to seal everything in. My favorite sealer for applications like this is from Counterculture DIY. This is a water-based urethane sealer called Quick Coat, and I just apply it with a gloved hand. You need less than like 5 milliliters or so to cover a 30-ounce cup like this. And once the cup is fully coated, I'm going to let it dry on our turner for about 35 to 45 minutes or so until this is completely bone dry to the touch. Next, we're going to be adding some colorants into this layer of epoxy. So I've mixed 60 milliliters of my Artist Cure formula, and I'm going to apply about 20 to 30 milliliters of that onto our cup, and I'm going to divide the remainder of our epoxy into 3 little medicine cups. In one of our cups, I'm going to spray just a little bit of this Island Girl spray paint from Colorshot. This is the same color that we use to base paint our cup. Just one little tiny spritz, no more than that. If you put too much of the spray paint into your like raw epoxy here, your epoxy is never going to cure properly. So you don't want to add too much because the ketones are actively working against that epoxy. But you can use a little bit of it to color, and I think it's absolutely beautiful to use as a colorant because you know what the colors are going to look like. You have every color of the rainbow, or at least I do. I have a ton of spray paint. And I just love coloring my epoxy like this. I don't do it very often, but when I do, I love the results. It's a very kind of translucent color with no shimmer. Sometimes you don't want any of that shimmer. You just want a very milky, beautiful, translucent colorant, and that's what this is going to give you. What I was trying to emulate here was some of the sections in that agate artwork inspo pic where it did look a little cloudy in some of the colored sections, and I just think that that is such a beautiful element to this cup. And all we're really doing is just kind of traipsing that colorant through our epoxy with our mixing stick. You don't want to get it too crazy, just a little bit. This really is kind of like gilding the lily, because realistically this cup is already beautiful. It probably doesn't need this additional element, but I think it is so pretty. All right, and here I'm doing the same thing with that beautiful coral color. And then finally, I'm using Celestial Glow from Cal & Grace Designs. I had just mixed like a pea-size amount in one of those medicine cups of epoxy that we had left over earlier. And I'm just kind of putting that here and there. It's really sheer, but also very sparkly, very pink, purple, shifty. I love it. All right, once I got that on there, I did hit my cup with my torch real quick just to kind of get things moving. And I kept an eye on the design to make sure that we didn't have anything getting away from us, like looking drippy or goopy or kind of pooling in areas that we didn't want it to pool in. If I saw that, I just kind of scooped it up with a gloved hand and kept it moving. All right, so I let that dry for about 6 to 8 hours before coming right back over the top of that with a final coat. I am using my Artist Cure epoxy for the final coat. And guys, I have a confession. I didn't finish this cup in time for this tutorial. It's almost done though. This literally was me putting on this final coat, and as I'm editing this video and uploading it, that final coat is still drying. So I think you guys seen enough to get the gist of this one. If you want to see it fully finished with all its fancy pictures, be sure to find me on social media. Follow me there, see it posted there. I'm sorry I didn't get this done. You know, I've been doing YouTube for, I don't know, almost 4 years now, and that's only happened to me, I think, one other time. And someone got mad at me. This lady was mad at me that I didn't show the finished cup in the video, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm rambling now. That's definitely enough chit chat for me. Thanks so much for watching my video. We'll see you again next week. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.